From Bodine High School in Northern Liberties, Philadelphia, this is the Ambassador Report.
Ambassadors, alike in dignity.
At Bodine High School, where we lay our scene.
The Shakespeare Fest is where you need to be.
A festival like none you've ever seen.
I'll tell you what you see throughout the show.
A dozen students acting for their lives.
They're acting from their heads down to their toes.
It's crazy hard, and just the strong survive.
The drama fueled by Shakespeare's hate and love.
The envy, and the murder, and the rage.
Ambition and remorse and themes thereof.
Will be the 2 hours traffic of our stage.
To which of you with patient ears attend.
What here shall miss, their toil shall strive to mend.
Hello, welcome to the Ambassador Report. I'm your host, Akayla Brown. On February 8th, 2019, the Bodine English Department will be hosting the school's 37th Annual Shakespeare Festival. Today, I'm here with our special guest, Bodine alumni and 2018 Shakespeare Festival runner-up, Franklin Ho.
Hello.
Knock knock.
Who's there?
The porter from Macbeth.
The porter from Macbeth who?
The porter from Macbeth. Knock knock knock. How do you like it?
Not very much.
That's right.
Knock knock?
Who's there?
Interrupting chorus.
Interrupting chorus.
2 households, both in the like.
Okay. Should we cut to commercial?
Yes, definitely.
All right, and now a word from our sponsors. I'm back here with Franklin Ho. So Franklin, last year you were Shakespeare's Festival runner-up, and I want to know, how many times did you take part of the festival?
I only took part of the festival only once during my senior year, but I happened to get second place as well, so that was interesting.
I mean, what took so long?
For the other 3 years, I didn't want to take part of it too much. I did have a feeling that I wanted to, but at the same time, it wasn't really my calling at the time, so I didn't. But senior year, it was my last year, so I said, what the heck, I might as well, and I went for it.
So did anyone really push you and encourage you to participate your last year?
A few people did. Mr. Cronson definitely did, and a few of my friends definitely did as well. At first, I wasn't set on doing it, but Mr. Cronson did offer some extra credit, and some of my friends were already doing it. But as the festival went on, I didn't do it for the extra credit. I did it because I thought it was fun, and I had past experience in theater, so it was kind of natural for me to do it.
So how were you feeling on that stage, other than natural, but in front of the Bodine students?
It felt really exciting. It was a rush of excitement, and it was all too familiar from my past experience with theater. And as I did it, as I went out on stage and performed my lines, it felt really, really cool being a different character and expressing how they felt in that moment.
After performing and seeing like all the other performances, who did you feel was your biggest competition?
Definitely Kayla. Kayla was so good at being the goddess, and was just breathtaking on how much authority I felt from her character. It felt like she really went into deep depths to become that character in that moment.
So how did it feel, like what was the difference for you to perform on stage and then in front of a camera?
Being in front of the camera, I had time to do many takes. So if I needed to adjust something, if I messed up a line, I could just say cut, do another take, and then go back at it. But in front of the stage, it was do everything now. Mm-hmm. You had to do everything right, and it's scary, but the thrill of that is very exciting to me, and I liked it.
Mm-hmm. So how did you find the perfect fit for you?
Last year, for my junior year, I read Othello with my class, and as we were reading, I would playfully get into character. Mm-hmm. So it was natural for me to go back to that part and then just act it out again, but this time on stage for the Shakespeare Festival.
So what process did you follow to memorize your whole skit?
I learned a trick when I was in drama class to basically not forget everything about yourself, but forget who you are and become the character that you're going to portray. So you have to ask yourself, how do they feel? Mm-hmm. How do they want to carry out these lines? And in the scene that I played out, Othello was very angry and he felt cheated by his wife. So I had to get into that concept as well, as how he would feel, how he would want, and I would recite the lines the way I think he would have.
I mean, throughout the day, did you feel the tension inside of you building up?
Before the festival or during the festival?
I mean, throughout the day. So, you know, in the beginning, we start off just rehearsing it. So at the end of it, when it was like coming closer to the time to perform in front of everybody.
Oh yeah,
how was your tension?
It felt like a ticking time bomb about to go off, and I felt so scared. But as an actor, I feel like I need that feeling to carry out the performance, because in a way it's essential to an actor to feel that rush, to feel that pressure, and to feel like everything's on the line. Because if you don't really give it your all.
Mm-hmm. So if you could go back to when you were a freshman, would you participate in the contest?
I feel like I wouldn't still, because when I became a high school student, I decided that I was gonna try out new things and not stick to what I've already done in middle school. For example, I did chess, but I didn't want to do chess in Bodine, so I didn't do that. Instead, I joined the ASA, which helped people do tutoring. We manage our own assembly every year, and I thought that was just fun, and it was great.
So, you know, the festival's been going on for 37 years, and I heard last year you had a chance to interview the festival's founder.
Yeah, I interviewed Mr. Dennis Francis Aloysius Mannion, and it was really fun meeting him and just talking to him and how much, and seeing him tell me about how much the whole festival has changed over the years.
And here's Franklin's interview last year with Mr. Mannion.
Why did you start the Shakespeare Festival?
Well, I started the Shakespeare Festival on somewhat of a whim. I arrived here as a new English teacher, and the principal of the school let me know that she wanted to have something different happening in the school and the English department. And having been involved in drama and theater in high school and in other schools that I worked in, and I thought, well, perhaps we could do a short play or something to that effect. And then I found out that there was a citywide Shakespeare Festival sponsored by the English-speaking Union. Yeah. And I thought, well, let me think about this. And I thought I have a short run in my classes. And so we had this soliloquy contest Shakespeare's soliloquy contest in my classrooms. And the kids really enjoyed it. So I went from my classroom to the other English teachers. They liked the idea. So the whole thing just sort of blossomed. It took on a life of its own. And the next thing you know, we had the school involved, and it became a big event in the school. We had local TV coverage, and everybody seemed to enjoy this. We put Bodine on the map when it really wasn't known that the school even existed in many parts of the city. So it was great publicity for the school and the kids as well. And many of these students of mine were kind of urged to join this competition for some extra credit points, some brownie points or something they could put down on their applications to different schools.
And how and why do you think that Shakespeare plays affect our lives today? Well,
the Shakespeare and his plays have been affecting many lives over the last 400 years. So Shakespeare is life. Everything that's in Shakespeare is in our daily lives. And many students don't realize this until they have some contact with one of his plays. Life in the Elizabethan period was probably, well, a hell of a lot crazier than it is today. Whether we like to believe that or not, it's true.
Do you think that the audience could relate to the characters in many different ways?
Well, that was the essence of the competition, was that the audience, they never believed that they could relate to Shakespeare in the way that they did. And the atmosphere of the competitions in the auditorium was the tension of a playoff game, a high school basketball playoff game, or even a National Football League kind of game. Kids were cheering for kids were cheering for Macbeth, or they were cheering for Hamlet or Falstaff, and they were cheering for their classmates. And these kids embraced Shakespeare, and they never thought or realized that they could.
Right. So why did you pick Shakespeare? Why not a different playwright or so?
Well, Shakespeare being the most notable, and the English-speaking Union of Philadelphia was sponsoring for the first time a citywide competition. Not just citywide, national, and if we want to carry on, international. So, and we're the international school, so why not? So here we are.
What is your favorite Shakespeare play and why?
Favorite. Let's see. Favorite. I don't know. I think it's kind of a cliche about Romeo and Juliet, but it is so romantic, isn't it?
Yeah.
No. I like Romeo and Juliet. I'm old-fashioned.
I think that's one of my favorite plays.
Is that right? Good.
Yeah. Do you have any advice for any of the performers this year that are taking place?
Memorize your lines early, and then rehearse and practice as much and as often as you can.
Of course, so that helps you remember it.
Yes, yeah.
Hey Franklin, who's got 12 thumbs and loves Shakespeare?
The Bodine English Department, that's who.
We went around and interrupted their classes for a segment we call What's So Great About Shakespeare?
Here's what they had to say.
So some great things about Shakespeare are characters. I think we all remember Iago, or can think of people in our lives who remind us of some of the characters that we are most familiar with. I'm a big fan of Midsummer and Hamlet as the plays I've taught the most, and I know that those characters live with me long after we work with the texts in class. I also love Shakespeare having contemporary connections. I think we can read the politics or the personal drama and then see it in our own lives and in the world we live in.
I also think that because his art was always so collaborative, it was a production of actors, editors, publishers, other storytellers. I think that Shakespeare, by his very nature, is one of the more collaborative authors, in that he invites us to think and collaborate and create the world of these stories together. More than any other playwright, really, I think, invites us to do that so well. So I think that's one of the nature of, I think that's one reason why I think Shakespeare is so good. It's such a collaborative art form.
Shakespeare is probably one of the most controversial writers of all time. I know people think he's boring, That's ridiculous. He's not boring. He writes about murder, he writes about love, he writes about revenge, he writes about jealousy, he writes about all things that everyone can relate to. In 10th grade, you're going to be reading Othello, which is about a guy who thinks that his wife is cheating and he goes crazy. I think all of you can relate to something like that. I think all of you can relate to Romeo and Juliet because I think that you understand what it's like to see someone and fall in love right away or think it's love. There's so many things you can relate to, jealousy, love, greed, that I think that the reason why we still use his works is because they're beautiful and they actually mean something in the world.
What I love about Shakespeare is the fact that even though he was from a very specific place and time, he was able to connect to a lot of different time periods. It doesn't matter if it's Julius Caesar and Cleopatra or his own time period. It doesn't matter if it's a castle in a tragedy like Macbeth or a fantasy place like The Tempest. He's able to do everything, so he can speak to everybody. That's what I love about Shakespeare.
What's so great about Shakespeare? Shakespeare is so great because his plays elicit strong emotions in students and in teachers alike. I love teaching Shakespeare because I watch students who think they won't understand or they won't get into it, just grab hold of the books and become the characters in the class. I love teaching Shakespeare because our Shakespeare Festival is so special and students remember it forever when they participate.
A prominent American once said, "I know words. I have the best words." Well, we sent out the Ambassador Report's fact-checking department to look into that claim, and they deemed it false. Shakespeare's words are better. Whether it's inventing words and phrases that we still use in everyday life, or the way that he looks into human emotions to capture something that's true about humanity in general, Shakespeare has the best words. But don't take my word for it. Here's Sean Chin delivering some of the Bard's finest.
To be or not to be, that is the... Sorry, what's my line? Question! Ow!
The 37th Annual Bodine Shakespeare Festival is happening on February 8th.
Who will take home the prize this year?
Could it be you?
See your English teacher to find out how to sign up.
Thanks for watching. See you next time on The Ambassador Report.
The Ambassador Report has been a Bodine Media Club production.
Have I not reasoned, the lamb that you are, saucy and overbold? How did you dare trade traffic with Macbeth in riddles and affairs of death? And I, the mistress of your charms, the close conjurer of all harms, was never called to bear my part, or show the glory of our art?
Yet she must die, else she'll betray more men. Put out the light, and then put out the light. If I quench thee, thou flaming minister, I can again thy former light restore, should I repent me. When I have plucked the rose, I cannot give it vital growth again. It needs must wither. I'll smell it on the tree. Ah, balmy breath. That doth almost persuade justice to break her sword. One more.
Bid in the law to make courtesy to their will, hooking both right and wrong to the appetite. The full as it draws, I will, to my brother. Though he had fallen by prompter of the blood, yet had he in him such a mind of honor, that had he 20 heads to tender down, on 20 bloody blocks he'd yield them up, before his sister should her bodies chew.
If I could pray to move, my prayers would move, for I am as constant as the northern star, of whose true fix and rustic quality. There is no fellow in the firmament. The skies are painted with unnumbered sparks. They are all fire, and every one doth shines. But there is but one doth holds his place. So So in this world, 'tis furnished well with men, and men are flesh and blood and apprehensive. Yet in this rank I know but one, that unsullied holds his rank, unshaped of motion, and that I am he. Let me a little show it, even in this, that I was constant. Chambers should be banished, and constant do remain so.